Hey guys, it's recording. Uh I've noticed this fucking thing when I'm sitting here. I don't know if it's like a constant thing, but I've noticed I have like a really fucking funny double chin when I'm looking at my laptop because it's like kind of a downward angle. And I'm a fat fuck, so it makes sense. But I'll be sitting here doing homework and I've opened OBS before and I'll just see it like this. I'm doing my I'm doing my game, man. That shit is so fucking funny. But this video is going to be different. I think it's going to be part of a weekly series. So I'm in a class called fuck, what's the name of it? Folklore of the American South, and it is so much fun. It's just once a week readings, and you just annotate and just write down a long I think it's three annotations and then two replies to classmates' annotations, and it's pretty fun. It's also really short. Like the readings are usually like 10, 20 minutes. And then if you're creative enough, you can just crank that shit out in like half an hour. So, there you go. Let's see. I'm going to read the assignment description. For this week's assignment, you will annotate the reading African American Proverbs in quotes. You will use the tool hypothesis. Okay, it's just the blah, 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 blah. Three annotations, two responses. Okay. And the grading is just how critically do you think, which is kind of fucked up, honestly. Um, this is a pretty short reading. It's 5 pages, I think, something like that. All right, let's start. Um, Weird. So it starts 40 pages in, and it starts in the middle of a paragraph. Okay, I'll just start at the beginning. Symbolic constructs than as individuals. It starts in the middle of a sentence, too. To suggest this is to bring proverbial speech into focus as a device for assisting in negotiations between not only personal but also cultural self and other. Okay. The analysis in this chapter then leads towards the socio-cultural spheres. Though I have made an effort to use whatever information is available to imbue the speakers with personal identities, they remain in many ways representative voices of their respective cultural groups. Okay. A number of positive things can be said about those. I'm fucking blind, man. About these narratives as sources of analysis. First, they contain more examples of proverbs than any other source. They also allow us to identify some of the common proverbs in use among African Americans, both in the period in which the interviews were recorded, the late 30s, and probably during the period of slavery. That probably is doing a lot of legwork for like 80 years separated. Further, these accounts serve as important illustrations of interactive speech events between African and European Americans. These events are informed by very specific social and political forces and contain multiple facets of context. Okay. From there, from God damn, I think I actually need to get fucking glasses, man. I'm reading the words and like they're starting to. I don't know, man. I think the years of playing video games just fucking 2 fucking inches from the monitor. I think it's finally starting to fucking catch up to me. Man. From them, we can glean information about the cultural and social dimensions of proverb, meaning and function. Proverb meaning and function. Yeah. As well as about certain situational meanings and applications of terms. Or items. Fuck. For these reasons, I have chosen to focus primarily on this latter source. Okay, so he's just saying context of the time is important, pretty much, and context of like where these people are from and how it affects the way we view their stories. Okay, social fuck, god damn it, I'm blind. Social slash cultural dynamics of the proverb speech events. Okay. In many ways, the isolated proverb speech events is the ex in the ex-slave narratives are oh my god, microcosmic examples of broader social realities inherent in the South and in America in general, and are therefore weighted with political and social implications and charged with the tensions of race relations in this country. Oh wait, I kind of had to burp, but it's not coming up. There is in the very nature of the interactions comprising these interviews the recognition that the African American speakers occupy this isn't my opinion, this is a quote from the text, a socially inferior status. They have not initiated the interactions, but are complying for a number of good reasons. They fear repercussions that they should they refuse, and they are under the impression that the interviewers can assist them in gaining access to basic services and goods. That's kind of fucked up. The conversations then pose much the same dilemma that the confines of slavery did, and the dynamics influencing Africana's speech behavior in that context persist here. Interviews involving these components would have to be especially tense, delicate, and complex, and would necessitate the most strategic uses of language possible for the ex enslaved speakers. Huh. It is clear that the social nature of these interactions frames the performance context of the speech events and has a great impact on the speech dynamics, choice of items, and levels of meaning that are brought to bear in the encoding of the proverb speech acts. One of the major aspects of these speech events can be called the ritual of disguise, which refers to the consistent employment of hidden meanings, encoded speech by African Americans to and around European Americans that has been so widely documented and discussed that no argument need be made for it. Rhetorical forms of communication with European Americans have become stereotypical and institutionalized in the Africana community and are often known as masks. Oh, fuck. Black people do that shit? I thought that was just for me, like autistic people. Damn. That's awesome. A trope reflected from the earliest times to the present in oral tradition. I'm definitely going to annotate the term on mask just because I'm on the spectrum, so like... You know? A trope reflected from the earliest times to the present in oral tradition, literature, and social essays of writers as diverse as Dunbar. And then it's a quote from him. We wear the mask that grins and lies. Davis and Redding, and then 1971 is the year from that quote. And Fanon. Black skins, white masks, 1967, 67. The cultural recognition of such traditional speech and behavioral forms and the ritualized enactment of them is reflected in such expressions as puttin' on ol' massa or shuckin' and jivin'. The art of the rhetoric or the socio-linguistic performance lies in the speaker's ability to placate the Euro-American addressee by acting out behaviors in accordance with the addressee's expectations, often by referring to Euro-canonical texts while subtly registering personal statements or offering subversive social commentary. Okay. That was the first big paragraph. That's interesting. So black people have like masks in the way that, this is just referencing my personal experience. Autistic people do. God, that's an interesting. Because I don't know, when it comes to like masking autism, I fucking suck at it. But even the times I've attempted it have been very odd. But damn, sucks to see that it's more of a necessity for them though, because it's like, you fuck up the wrong way, you end up like enslaved or some shit. I don't know what the exact context of this is, but it's like, damn, you know. They said this was in the 30s, so I'm assuming it's more of like being able to get a job when that kind of thing. Oh. That is fucked up though. They have to like fit into white man's world. Interesting. And it's kind of fucked that I can sit here and read this shit in a book and it's like, no, this is like some real black guy is like struggling in life and having to do this shit, you know? Okay. I don't think I have anything to add really. But next paragraph. That folklore genres are often central to these masks has also been established by writers, artists, and scholars. Spirituals, for example, were often sung to deliver coded messages. Level 1972. Epstein. Okay, apparently there's some cultural author named Epstein. Okay, fuck it, sure. I'm gonna, hang on. Let's search this into Google and William Epstein. Wait, what the fuck? Human perception and William Epstein. He's a fucking psychologist? Okay, cool. Weird. It sucks when it's like having a kid named Hitler. You just can't do it. It's like some names truly just get fucking poisoned. Like you aren't gonna be able to if you're like probably a solid like 2% of the Jewish community can't have kids now because their last name is fucking Epstein. Oh man, it's crazy. All right, but back to it. Coded messages, and then Lovell 1972, Epstein 1977. And in much the same fashion, tales, legends, and jokes also expressed hidden social commentary. Levine 77, Roberts 89, Hughes and Bontemps, weird name, 58, Fry 75. Oh, it's like a wet burp. Fuck. Scholars have noted frequent occurrences of work, songs, and hollers, often performed in the presence of whites, that registered severe criticism of European Americans and institutionalized oppression. Levine 77. Any researcher concerned with the text of the WPA interviews should logically consider that this institutionalized component of Africana speech behavior influenced these interviews. Raywick, I don't know, does not does note the frequent intermingling of natural and fictive discourse, Smith 78 and 73, that characterizes the ex-slave narratives, that reflects the tendencies of informants to blend traditional motifs, i.e., from tales, legends, etc., with the recounting of personal or community history. Okay. Of course, this occurs quite naturally because the interviewers are primarily asking the informants to recall memories of the past, and as Raywick and others have suggested, Roboto, I don't know, 78, much of the history lies in the realm of oral tradition. Okay. To go a step further than Raywick's observation, I suggest that these folklore motifs and genres are often components of the mask and function as a part of the ritual in disguise. Of disguise, sorry. The ritual of disguise is critical when considering speech events in which proverbs are found, for proverbs are often one of the most important genres in masking, as evidenced by their frequent occurrence in segments of discourse characterized by elaborate and metaphorical speech. Okay, um, so hang on, to understand this, people use proverbs and like folk songs, that kind of thing, to like kind of mask, put up an image, and they're saying that they can use these masks to have more freedom of speech than they would otherwise. Like earlier they mentioned like folk songs having like anti-slavery and anti-bigotry shit, and the white people not really caring because it's folk songs, so they get like more opinions when they kind of put themselves on a stage, if that makes sense. Huh. Okay. Okay. Let's see where they're going with this. It's kind of a odd one. Next paragraph. I suggest that a second ritual is also salient in the speech events of informants in these narratives, the ritual of defense slash attack. Okay. Though less acknowledged by researchers as a general trope than the ritual of disguise, the strategies by which this one is executed have received significant attention. These are the strategies of argumentation, persuasion, and insult. Oh, there we go. That have been discussed in the context of such distinctive speech forms as the dozens: capping, rapping, signifying, sounding, and marking. And then a bunch of citations. Holy shit. Actually, like a full line of just parentheses citations. I'm not reading all that. Abrahams, 1972, and other scholars have generally agreed that proverbs often function as a means of offering solutions to recurrent problems, but a study of proverbs in context suggests that they frequently play a far more significant role. In the context of these speech events between Euro interviewers and Africana informants, proverbs often form a part of the defense and attack strategy. Informants routinely have to defend themselves against criticism, condescension, and denigration. Yeah, I couldn't. Degrading of their persons and culture, as well as against logically constructed arguments about one topic or another. Proverbs commonly play a role in this defense, however, in most cases, informants are quick to move from the defensive to offensive positions in these interactions, and proverbs are often a pivotal device in this strategy. It has been suggested that folklore items may many times reflected the fantasies of enslaved people, allowing them to affirm their vision of social justice. Levine 77. Okay. As a part of the ritual of defense/attack, proverbs sometimes function to project visions of the social order desired by Africana speakers, and and can thus be viewed as contributing to what Roberts has called culture building. I've got like fucking liquid stuck in my throat and I don't know what it is. And then it just cites 1989, doesn't even say who wrote it. In these speech events. In other examples, it's probably because it said Roberts like 2 fucking seconds prior. In other examples, proverbs are clearly used as a part of strategies of insult. Okay. Because of their directive and expressive function, as well as their usefulness in argumentation, proverbs are generally well suited for use in the context of those interviews, but a number of more specific characteristics make them ideal for the rhetorical my fucking eyes, man, strategies of many of the speakers. First, proverbs by their nature refer to the established canon and communicating a message and provide anonymity for the speaker. This is an especially important feature in cases where speakers wish to voice criticism or to make social or personal commentary, Roberts 78 citation, and is reflected in the frequent use of introductory and closing formulas that refer to the Bible or the Good Book. Second, indirection is one of the major components of proverbs and one of the most necessary facets of these speakers' communications. Third, proverbs, just as jokes do, often present a hypothetical world that is representative of elements in the actual world and in the interactional situation in which the utterance occurs. In contrast to jokes, however, there is less danger that the proverb will be interpreted as insolent, insulting, or as making light of situations that communities may feel should be taken seriously. It's a period. I thought it continued. Yeah. Fourth, proverbs are the most effective folklore genre in constructing and supporting logical argument and persuasion, carrying the weight of authority and social propriety, and structurally resembling the statements of what the fuck is that word? Syllogisms? I've never heard of that shit. Syllogism. A syllogism is a logical argument that applies deductive reasoning to arrive at a conclusion based on 2 propositions that are asserted or assumed to be true. What does this mean? There's a... it's like a... It's the fucking the question from you when you were in school that's like, if John ate 5 apples, but there were only 8 apples, then there are 3 apples. But 3 apples got ate by 1 apple, but now there are no apples. You know? Things affect other things. That's what it's saying. Fifth, proverbs can succinctly encapsulate the main point of a segment of elaborate and decorative discourse, focusing the listener's attention on that point and driving it home. And 6, as Yanka? Who is this? And 7, as Yanka notes regarding Aachen Proverbs, 1989, those in the narratives also function to manipulate the mood and attitude of listeners and create the impression of unity or agreement between Africana speakers and Euro interviewers. References to biblical canon frequently contribute to this component of the speech events as well. So, everything so far has basically been these, like, if I understand right, black people are getting interviewed or something like that by white people for this, and as they're being interviewed, they're being questioned about beliefs, I think, and they're saying like references to the Bible or references to like folklore shit to say like to kind of back up their argument. Okay, cool. Uh, there you go. Uh, that was a good one. All right. Next paragraph. This one's short. The political and social components of these interactions are vital in discussing the contextual meanings and application of proverbs, for they are ever present and interact with the immediate and personal elements of a particular encounter. We're able to fuck you need. God damn it, I'm illiterate. And I'm supposed to be a fucking English minor, and I'm sitting here going, fuck. We're able to obtain information about the social levels of. Wait. I don't even remember where I was in the fucking I'm just going to restart this paragraph, man. I don't fucking know what I'm doing. The political and social components of these interactions are vital in discussing the contextual meanings and applications of proverbs, for they're ever present and interact with the immediate and personal elements of a particular encounter. Okay. We're able to obtain information about the social levels of proverbs meaning from many of the examples. That was a good one. We can gain insight into the social meanings of items not only within the Africana community during the 30s, but often within the European American community as well. For informants on occasion refer to the common Euro meaning of items as a part of their own applications and innovations as they use those same proverbs. Hence, the interplay of different social meanings that have emerged. Oh my god, the words are like actually starting to blend together. I think I have like dyslexia onset by actually trying to read, man. Out of the interplay of different social meanings that have emerged out of the social context is an area of focus, just as is the interplay between social and situational. Parentheses, perhaps the most prominent level found in the examples, meanings. Unfortunately, there is little data that would facilitate a discussion of the symbolic level of proverb present views. They just didn't put a comma. Okay. Present views are less incendiary than they really are. And in this case, the social meaning of the proverb may be that which is found in example number 15. Okay. So they're saying that people are using proverbs and particularly like notes from the Bible as like practical application. Okay. Cool. All right. Next big section. Proverbs and the supernatural. Yeah, that's cool. Aside from contexts in which topics of social import are central, several examples of discourse in which supernatural phenomena are being discussed also contain proverbs. With seeing is believing, a number of the previous points that have been made about the functions of proverbs are also applicable. The most notable is the use of the item in two separate examples to argue opposite sides of the same issue. As with some of the other topics that proverbs are applied to, belief in the supernatural is one of the areas that interviewers routinely question the speakers about, and that frequently elicited segments of elaborate fictive discourse, either describing or relating personal experience narratives involving such phenomena. For obvious reasons, questions about the supernatural were less likely to evoke statements of political or social content. In example 17, Mrs. Manda Bogan is stating her belief in ghosts and in voodoo and uses the proverb to support her conviction. And we have the quote here. I believe in ghosts. Seeing is believing, and oh my god, they wrote it out in like fucking, not AAVE, but like the way people on 4chan write out the way they think black people talk. Bear with me here. I'm fucking illiterate with like
proper, absurd educational English, reading this shit is gonna take fucking 45 hours. I believe in ghosts. Seeing is believing, and I've seen haunts all my life. Oh, fucking haints? Dude, my great grandmother, she believed in that shit. She said she would sit at her house and she would hear haints out in the forest because they lived out in the woods. And she said she could hear the haints all around her. And it was fucking horrifying. I know folks can be hoodooed. Mighty curious things can be done. One night I was going, oh my God, going to a dance. We had to go through thick woods. Had with one of them nights that you feel like there's something going somewheres. You feel, oh my God, you feels queer, lack and jumpy, and oh my God, want to look over your shoulder, but scared to. There's always a hank round when it's like that. First thing, oh my God, fucking God, why didn't they just transcribe the goddamn thing? The first thing us know there was a ghost right in front of us, what looked like a cow. It just stood there, getting bigger and bigger. Then it disappeared. Us run like something wild. I went on to that dance, but I didn't show dancing. But I show didn't dance none. I just sat around and look on. And from that night, I ain't never going to frolic and dance no more. Damn. That woman has a fucking. I love the way that, like, I don't want to use the word backwards in like a cultural context because it's fucked, but like more superstitious, more like is supernatural type cultures that believe in shit like that. It's so cool because it's like I want to live in this world of fucking magic where you're like, yeah, I was walking to a dance and there was a cow ghost that got big and then blew up and disappeared. That's fucking cool. Like it'd be fucking horrifying and haunting in the moment, but like that's pretty cool. Let's see. The narration takes the form of a ghost legend, one which chronicles the speaker's conversion from a partygoer to a non-partygoer. Great description, bud. And the proverb provides the moral of the story, as well as the voice of authority that rhetorically adds validation and credibility to the tale. The tale, however, functions as much to validate the proverb. The strategy of the proverb is vastly different from that of some of the earlier examples in which the message of the proverb might be somehow applied to the interviewer. Here, the proverb becomes more a part of the performance of a legend, and may perhaps be a recurrent feature of the telling of the legend for this particular informant. The second occasion of the proverb argues for the non-existence of certain supernatural phenomenon. Example 18. Here we go. The old folks told ghost stories to the children. They'd think about them ghosts every time dark would come. That's how come folks grow up to believe in them. I'm going to come clean and say straight out, I got no faith in such as that. If them things could be seen, I would run across one of them sometime or another. But I ain't. So I telling you, I got no faith in it. I don't believe in them hoodoo doctors neither. I don't pay 'em no mind when I hears all this and that about what they can do. I just says to myself, seeing is believing, and I ain't never seed. Damn, that's a fucking raw line. That guy sounds cool. And then here's the final bit here. I suggest that, as in example 17, the speaker's discourse represents a social meaning of the proverb and a recurrent way in which this particular proverb was used, to argue the non-existence of otherworldly phenomena. Of note is that the situational meaning is opposite in these two examples. In the former, the proverb is used to communicate the message, I believe in ghosts because I have seen them. When the latter, the message is, I don't believe in them, or in similar extraordinary occurrences, because I've never seen them. The other proverb that occurs in connection with the supernatural is, the straw that broke the camel's back. Once more, the segment of discourse in which the item appears is a ghost legend. George Jackson, the speaker, is noted by the interviewer as a raconteur. Don't know what that... Raconteur. What does that word mean? A teller of... Okay, well, there's a fucking definition right there. I could have just kept reading, but I had to be a little Redditor and stop and ponder. A teller of yarns and stories that took place in the distant past. Raywick 72. And he distinguishes himself as a skillful narrator, embellishing the tale with extended details and dramatic dialogue. The story is a lengthy one about a white man and his family who rented a haunted house in spite of warnings from neighbors. The man is determined to prove himself a real man by confronting the ghosts and not giving in to possible fears. The haint, however, creates so many intimidating disruptions that the family finally flees the house. Example 19. By this time, the haint had reached the room above him. Over to table noise, he heard a rattle of a tin bucket and footsteps going, and that's where the page cuts off. Okay, so I have to respond to 3 things in the 15 minutes or so of reading I just did. 30. Damn. I must be fucking slow. Honestly, man, I think I might be kind of slow because I don't know. But all right, let's see. I'm going to go to the example 17 quote, and I'm just going to highlight from I believe in ghosts, seeing folks can be hoodooed, mighty curious things can be done. I'm just going to highlight that sentence and annotate. How do I type? Here we go. Okay. I'm just going to type out a response. The sentence I highlighted was, I believe in ghosts, seeing is believing, and I see haints my whole life. I know folks can be hoodooed, curious things can be done. I'll just talk a bit about my great-grandmother and my grandmother, because I've heard stories all my life from my grandmother and great-grandmother about haints and what was it? Hoodoo. Yeah, because my grandmother genuinely believes in voodoo. My senior year in high school, I went on a band trip. Senior? I think it was my senior year. We did like a band trip and we went to New Orleans. And when we got, like, before I was leaving there, my grandmother was like trying to scare the fuck out of me like the whole week up to it. And at some point I was just like, shut the fuck up. Like, I didn't say that, but I was just like, she would just start talking on some bullshit and I would just like turn around. And it wasn't like the supernatural shit, but she was like, you know, when you're there, you're gonna get robbed and they're gonna hold you at gunpoint and stab you and cut you. And it's like, just shut the fuck up. It's not that, and it's not because she's like trying to tell me to be cautious or whatever, but it's the fucking oh god, it's the clip about prison where it's like the little boy sends like the letter to the inmate and he's like, you're gonna be raped, you're gonna be stabbed, or it's like the clip where the little kid's like, why you should convert to Christianity, and he's like, when you go to hell, you're gonna get touched, you're gonna get murdered, you're gonna get stabbed. Like, that was what my grandmother was doing. There was no moral. It was just like, hey, this is gonna happen to you. And it was just like, what the fuck are you doing? And then I went there, and New Orleans was a miserable fucking city. There were so many homeless people, and the city, I think the thing that pissed me off was I saw like the police there had fucking Hellcats, and there were like an absurd number of homeless people, and it's like, you know, what the fuck are you doing, man? But yeah. Tell you what, I'll reply here about about haints and hoodoo. I've heard some stories all my life from my grandmother and great-grandmother about haints and hoodoo and how they believed in them and seen them. Oh. I'll tell them about my senior year in high school. We took a small band trip to New Orleans, and How do I spell lead up? Lead up, is it with a dash? Yeah, it's a dash like Spider-Man. And the lead up to the trip. I mean, she kept telling me to. And she also mentioned zombies. She leaves that. Hmm. The way these tales I think I should clarify that I'm white and to the of it's still impressive the ways regions for generations. Cool, should be done. I've heard some stories from my grandmother and great-grandmother about haints and hoodoo and how they believed in them and seeing them. My senior year in high school, we took a small trip up to New Orleans, and in the lead up to the trip, my grandmother kept telling me to keep an eye out for hoodoo men and what she called zombies. I'm white, and my family is white, so it's not really relevant to the racial aspect of folklore, but it's still impressive. Of this message, but it's impressive the way these tales. Cool. That's my first comment, and my second comment will be down here. Let's see. I'm going to come. I'll annotate this passage that says, the old folks told ghost stories to the children. They'd think about them ghosts every time dark would come. And this one I'll just write about my great grandmother. The way these people sat and think about them ghosts. People would sit around and tell ghost stories to children reminds me of my great grandmother Georgie. I can't remember if it was my great grandmother or it was my great great grandmother. I think it was my great great grandmother because she was older, and yeah. The Whole family lived She lived with my great fucking spelled grandmother and grandmother, and when my grandmother was a little girl. Early 1950s, she would tell stories about hates in and try to spook the kids. I remember, oh god, I can't remember if it was like they heard a bobcat or some shit. I want to say it was like a cougar. It was the one that sounds like a woman crying. Animal sound like woman scream. What is it? It's not a fox. What fucking animal is it? Cougar. Yeah, mountain lion. Huh. Have to. They lived further out from town, and you would hear mountain you would sometimes hear mountains and cry at night. Remember right. Wait. To try and spook the who live further out from yeah. My grandmother still some superstitions in that way. He's lost a lot. Ugh. I have like fucking boogies in my nose. I got boogers in my shit. Ugh. What I write. The way the older people would sit around and tell ghost stories to children reminds me of my great-great-grandmother, Georgie. She lived with my great-grandmother and grandmother, and when my grandmother was a little girl... Ah, fuck. My grandmother was a little girl. And she would tell stories. Cool. Cool. Alright. Let's find something else to annotate in this fucking long thing. It's not too long. It's like 30 minutes of reading. I could highlight the masking, but I don't want to put on the fucking the I have autism hat, you know? I'll go to the Any researcher concerned with the Where is this? Rituals. Where does Ritual of Disguise start? Control F. Ritual of Disguise. Function of the ritual. We got one. Where's the first match? Here we go. One of the major aspects of these speech events can be called the ritual of disguise. Yeah. Honestly, I'm just going to talk about how this is like one of the major aspects of these speech events. Yeah. So annotate, and one of the major aspects of these speech events can be called ritual of disguise. This whole concept of ritual of disguise how the fuck do you spell intriguing? I'm not going to use it. If it's a big ass Reddit word, I ain't going to use it. Whole concept of ritual disguise is interesting to me. Should I pull out the full... Yeah, fuck it. The whole concepts of ritual of disguise and masking are familiar to extremely familiar to me. It's on the autism spectrum. There's sort of understanding you develop as you age that two people what you, certain natural behaviors for you that are acceptable to people around you. Asking agree that around stimuli was a much more environment. Did I misspell environment? Oh, fuck. Damn it. Yes, I've gotten older and friends on music with other autistic people I've felt accepted. Okay, here's the final thing. The concepts of ritual and disguise, masking are ritual. Ritual of disguise and masking are extremely familiar to me as someone on the autism spectrum. There's a sort of understanding you develop as you age that certain natural behaviors for you that certain natural behaviors for you are considered considered unacceptable to people around you. Me, that mostly revolves around stimming and certain speech patterns that non-autistic people may understand or accept. This was a much more prominent issue when I was younger and in a less accepting environment. As I've gotten older and made friends on the spectrum and joined a music program, I felt more socially accepted. I think that you could read into that or something around feeling ostracized as my own experience to sort of read to the Cool. Now I have to respond to 2 people. Let's just scroll till I find a random one. Here we go. Ending with a proverb makes a story feel complete and meaningful, like it carries a lesson everyone should respect. I'm just going to reply to it. I agree. Adding it almost serves as a, how do I put it, on top of an argument. If you're not too persuasive? How the fuck? Oh, I forgot the S. If you're not too persuasive, you can use common ground. Use like proverbs to your point. Cool. All right, let's scroll through here. Here we go. Here, institutionalized means that masking isn't about being weak. Wait, did I reply to the same Yeah, I don't want to reply to the same person twice. Yeah, I did do that. Let's see, pick a random person. Okay, there's only 3 people who have replied to this shit so far. Oh wait, 4th person just replied. Or it just appeared. I love that the author added that there was no argument needed to defend the meaning of coded speech. Okay. African Americans at this time made things so clear that we are still able to see their struggles today. Not being able to speak their mind, they were able to find innovative ways to communicate clearly with each other while still protecting themselves. Fascinating. Dude. This is... Oh. That's such a cool response because it's Reddit in like an awesome way. Like dude said fascinating. That's cool. Love that the author there was no argument needed to defend the meaning of coded speech. I love the idea of encoding ideas so that you can only understand them through a certain cultural lens. It's such a unique and interesting concept. Interesting. Yeah, I spelled it. Such a unique and interesting concept. Cool. All right. And that should be it. Yeah. Cool. All right. And I am done for the week. How long did that take? Like an hour? Yeah, right at an hour. Okay, cool. That was fun. Damn. I fucking love that class, man. And there are 11 of these, so I've got like fucking a week of these left to do, which I love to see. It's so fucking refreshing to just sit down and just read something cool and talk about it with cool people. In my last video, I was doing... I don't know if I ended up uploading... I have like fucking booger, man. I don't know if I ended up uploading my last recording. I think I did. But it was me just like doing my music homework and just fucking hating it, to be honest. And it sucks because I feel like when it comes to my English classes, it's like I love music and English. They're both very cool, very awesome things. I love the idea of like understanding more knowledge in the English world, and I love the idea of like getting good at tuba in the music world. And they're both very like core concepts to me that I love. And uh, it's just it's a they're both like so cool, but the music, I know music is the one because music gets at me emotionally in a way that nothing else does. Like there are some literature concepts where it's like I'll read something and it's so fucked up that it's just like it fucks up your whole night. But 90% of literature shit is just like really cool concepts and you love to see it. Um it's I think I made a I doubt I still have it, but at one point I made a pros and cons list of English major versus music major because I was considering switching because the music department at my college is dog shit and is quickly barreling towards fucking collapse. Um, One day I'll put up a fucking tell all, no, but one day I'll be able to more openly talk about it because the only reason I've not gone into detail on all the crazy shit going on is, I don't have any particularly inflammatory takes that would like prevent me from, I shit talk a teacher and get prevented from ever working in academia. That's not really any opinion I have, but it's like it's just a genuine thing of just like I all of my opinions are very lukewarm, I think, or not lukewarm, but my college is fucking exploding, and hundreds of people on Facebook and Instagram and YouTube and fucking everywhere, even on like local news channels, have just been freaking the fuck out. And I feel like if I were to put out any take at all, my YouTube would just get fucking flooded with hate. And no take I have is particularly crazy. It's just like, what if everyone calmed down and the department was better and more transparent, and the teachers were treated with respect, but also there was more of a clear like demarcation. I don't know. Demarcation, I think, line of like what is cool and what isn't. Because but all that shit's here nor there. Because basically the music department at my college is fucking imploding. It's getting like harder and harder to keep clocking in every day, and God. But I have a fucking can of Pringles in front of me, and I just noticed there's like fucking Hebrew text at the bottom. What the fuck? Look at this. There's fucking Hebrew text on the Pringles. Does this mean Benjamin Netanyahu made these foods? What the fuck, man? But what was I gonna tell you? Yeah, I ended up making that pros and cons list about switching majors because I love music. That was the main thing that kept me around was my love for music, the craft, not my love for music, the degree. And English, I feel like, is the way more fun degree. It's got like it's more in the middle. Like the lows of English are higher and the highs are a little bit lower. Music, it's fucking bipolar. It's 1 minute you're feeling like king of the world, next minute you genuinely feel like a fucking iPad 3. It's bipolar in a way that's like not great, but I know that like once I get into the real world of it, the good side is going to be way more there. I don't have too much to add, but it's like it's just odd the way my degree program is kind of collapsing. And I'll still be able to graduate on time. That's never been really a question, but it's just like, damn, this shit is fucking annoying. I have to there you go. You know, it sucks having to. In music, there's a lot of egos, a lot of bad people, so you just have to kind of navigate a more tumultuous, explosive fucking world. Look at me using big words like tumultuous. Ugh, God. But yeah, there's a lot of bullshit in the music world, and in the English world, it's a lot more chill. It's just been like just chilling out and learning a cool concept, and that's great. But it doesn't give me that fucking dopamine heroin push that music does. So, but enough bitching. That was me doing my homework for an hour. So, hope you liked it.